Hello everyone, this is your boy Feltouch here, and welcome back to another commentary of mine. And no, don't check your watch. It isn't Monday, it is in fact Friday. But you know what, I'm feeling particularly fruity today, so I decided to whip out another commentary for you boys. Today I'm going to be discussing the happiest day of my childhood life, but before I get into that, let's talk about the gameplay in the background. So unless you're blind, you'll be able to see that I'm currently playing on some Star Wars Battlefront. It's still to this day one of my favourite games which I've played of all time. I seriously contend that. The graphics are unbelievable, the gameplay is so fun, and when you get on it, you just have a relaxed time. When you're playing FIFA, I can't relax. I'm sweating, I'm honestly a mess, if I can be honest with you. I'm shouting, I'm screaming. When I'm playing Battlefront, I'm just relaxed, I'm having a good time, I'm just talking about cricketers, I'm talking absolute nonsense with my pals, saying how Lando Calrissian is an all-round batsman, just things like that. Just talking absolute nonsense. Now, there's a few gripes I have with the game, but they have seriously put some time into it, and they keep on releasing patches and things like that, which really makes this game really exciting, and it's so fun to play. This is one of the best gameplays I've had in a while, so you can tell me and my boys here, John Bunting and also Sean, we're putting in an absolute shifting in this game. We unfortunately lost it, but when you look at the kills in the game, we just absolutely put the opposition to bed. So, what can I say? We're just unbelievable at the game, especially my boy John Bunting, who absolutely destroyed this fixture. I believe he got like 75 kills or something absolutely ridiculous at the end. But this game, there's a couple of things which annoy me about it, and that's the first one, is there's so much DLC for it, and if you were to buy all the DLC, if you bought the season pass at the start of the game, it's about 40 quid. So don't forget, you've already paid 40 quid for the game. Now, as much as I love the maps, and I love the characters involved, it is slightly pay to win in a way, because if you have access to the new heroes, perhaps you can get better advantages on certain maps, for example. On top of that, you also get a little bit more fun. Yes, I know, I understand that if you're paying a little bit more money, you should have the right for that. But I also feel a little bit mugged off, and also disencouraged from buying the DLC in the first place when they release a new Battlefront game which is coming out next year, I believe. So I sort of feel like a little bit disenfranchised, because I feel like, what was the point of releasing these DLC maps if you're just going to release a new game? They can't really change all too much on the next game. I mean, I don't really understand how they're going to change it, but all the best of them. I presume they're just going to change it up with different characters and stuff, basing it in a different time era. Something like that. Maybe even reducing it on the new films. I will buy it if it's got Kylo Ren in. I will tell you that much for free. But back in the day, I used to just play FIFA. I predominantly used to play a lot of Call of Duty. That was the main game. When I first got an Xbox, the only game I played was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I busted that for so long. About 45 days playtime on that bad boy. FIFA was always my second choice. I never really got that much into FIFA, really, on the Xbox anyway. I used to love playing on my PSP and on PC and things like that before I got an Xbox 360. But I always seem to like shooter games. They're just a little bit more relaxing for me. That's the way I find it anyway. But today, let's put the gameplay aside. I've talked games, I've talked shit, but now it's time to talk about the happiest day of my childhood life. Now, I'm going to be going back to 2004, perhaps 2005. I can't put an exact date on it. However, this was certainly, for a long time in my childhood, the greatest day of my life. And it is football related, there's no doubt there. You know what? I think most of my happiest memories of my life are football related. Football for me is a drug, and I am addicted to it. The feeling of when a team scores is just absolutely unbelievable. If you're there live, you just simply cannot describe it. It's like ecstasy going into your body. Not that I've taken that. I don't advise any of you to take any of that nonsense. My body's a temple, and so should yours. So I've got two proper memories which are my favourites, and the first one is of course that Sergio Aguero goal. Now, when you score a goal in the 90th minute, it's probably the greatest feeling in the world if you beat your team. But to score 2 goals in 3-4 minutes time, then to go on and win the league against your nearest rivals, Manchester United, it was perhaps the greatest feeling which I've ever had. And I don't think I've cried at a football game before, but then, that's like, it was something which I just cannot describe. It was a sensation which is just completely out of this world. Now, I'm going to say that's not a childhood memory because I was 16 or 17 at the time when that happened. It was just the greatest feeling I've ever had, and I just feel like it could never be beaten. And to say I was at that game will always be one of the greatest things. I'm sure there's probably about 600,000 people in the country who've said they've been to that game, when of course there was only about 48,000 people there. But it was one of the best days of my life, and I'll never ever forget that day, especially being behind that goal where Aguero scored. But my childhood memory, the best one, again, is football related, and it's related to Manchester City once again. And when I was, say, about, how old am I? So it goes back to 2004, perhaps 2005, and I found out that I was going to be a player escort for a fixture in the next season. Now, when I say player escort, I am not talking about Wayne Rooney's grannies or any of that nonsense. I'm not talking about them shaggers. I'm talking about player mascots, the kids who go out on the pitch. But usually at City you get a couple of mascots who come out with a captain, but on this occasion, for some reason, it must have been some sort of promotion. I think it was an advertisement deal. It's with Coca-Cola, because that's where we won it through. So I'm looking at the picture now, and there's 11 kids. We've all got Coca-Cola kit on for some reason, and basically you won a prize, and we got there. My mum entered me into the competition, and I luckily got the opportunity to go out on the pitch with the players. So when I received the news, I think I was probably about 2004, so I would have been 8-9 years old at the time. So I was absolutely buzzing, of course, to hear the news. So I found out on the school playground, but I had to wait about 6 months or so until I actually won the competition. So we rocked up on the day. I had to buy some new trainers, so I was absolutely fantastically kitted out. I'm looking at them now. Total 90s. Oh my god, those trainers and boots were the best range of boots I've ever seen produced from Nike. You could put some swaz on those balls, but just looking at them, there's me and this other lad next to me, we've both got the 90s on. There's a couple of lads who've got like proper Recaro trainers on, a couple of Umbros there, some proper Schneid Reeboks, and there's a lad at the end who's got his loafers on. Not really sure how he ended up wearing his school shoes to this. Did he know he was going on the pitch? At least I thought I might even get a game at this stage, you can tell with the 90s on. But looking at the players, it is a vintage year for Manchester City. So I can't tell who the captain was at the time, but I'm fairly sure that we probably had David James in goal. And then we probably had, I can't work out how our captain was. It must have been still Van Distan, but he's obviously off this picture at this time. Then there's Trevor Sinclair, Sean Wright-Phillips, Richard Dunn, Robbie Fowler, Ben Thatcher, Joey Barton, Danny Mills, Nicolas Anelka, and Claudio Reyna. That is an unbelievable Manchester City lineup at the time. You know, it's actually not a bad team thinking about it, but there is some interesting selection of players on that pitch right there. So, when he rocked up on the day, we were told in fact that we weren't actually going to be going out with the players. We were in fact going to be just stood there at the side of the pitch, waving a flag for the players to come out. It was just a load of shit, really. But we were told we were going to be coming out with the players, and a few of the parents kicked up a bit of the fuss, and the club in the end managed to say, yeah, you know what, you can go out on the pitch with the players. So before kick-off, we were in a room just to the side, and there was a mug, and you had to pick out a number, and that was the order you were going to stand in with the players. So you 1 to 11, so the ones who were number 1 had to stand with the captain, number 2 with the keeper, and so on and so forth. So it's a completely random order, so you didn't really know who you were going to end up coming out with. So for me, I got number 10, so I'm stood 10th in the line. And then the players come out the tunnel. If you don't know City's tunnel layout, they come out the left hand side. We're all stood there in this tunnel looking very fancy. City were playing Everton on this day, so I'm looking across, looking at all these Everton boyos, Alan Stubbs, Lee Carsley, so on, so forth. A lot of ballers. Joseph Yobo. I'm talking real footballing class. Probably Yakubu was knocking about. I can't really remember the Everton team. I just remember the City team. So as you stood there, all your heroes are coming past you. Your Ben Thatchers, your Danny Mills, and then eventually the players are coming out. And at that time, I was stood next to Danny Mills. I'm thinking, shit. Why did I have to get this absolute mercenary of a footballer stand next to me at the time? Of course, I was a little bit starstruck looking at all these players. And then, out of the blue, 2 more players come out. Manchester City's best player at the time, Nicolas Anelka. That's who I got to go on the pitch with, ladies and gentlemen. He comes up to me and goes, hello, you alright? And I'm having a little chat. And it was just like, yeah, I'm alright, Nicholas, mate. How's the kids? Well, obviously I didn't say at the time, but I was like, yeah, good. And my mum was like, did you say bonjour to him after the game. I was like, no, I didn't say bonjour. I was just having a little chat with him. I said, sign me up to the end of the season, Nicola. You know, if you ever need someone who can shine your boots or anything, I'm your man. But the fact that I got to go on the pitch with Nicholas Anelka, when I could have perhaps gone out on the pitch with Ben Thatcher, Danny Mills, all these unfortunate kids, and I got to go on the pitch with a genuine legend of football. Yes, he's an interesting player off the pitch, but at the time, he was certainly City's best player, and he was a genuine legend for City at that time. He was our main man, he was our biggest goal scorer. We in fact lost the game by 1-0. That was typical City. We never beat Everton. We never ever beat Everton. And of course, they beat us on that day. But on the way back home, I remember just like absolutely buzzing. I had a smile on my face the whole day, even though we lost the game. But on the way back, driving home, I turn around. Who's in the car behind us? None other than City player at the time, Paul Bosvelt. Now people are like, who the fuck is Paul Bosvelt? He was a good little player, centre midfielder, used to do bits for City back in the day. I really liked Paul Bosvelt. He was a decent footballer, and I gave him a little wave and he waved back, and it certainly just put the cherry on top of the icing on a magnificent day of my life. So there you go, that's certainly the greatest day of my childhood life, or as far as I feel like, in terms of my memories, was the greatest day of my childhood. That's as far as I'm concerned. Of course it had to be football related, not... I wasn't exactly going to say, yeah, the best day of my life was when Star Wars Battlefront 1 came out. Obviously I don't really remember that, but this was certainly one of the greatest days of my life. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this commentary. If you want to see some more commentaries like this, please let me know down in the comment section down below. Arrivederci.